Okay, there's a couple things I want to cover tonight. The first thing I want to cover is like some people are under this assumption that um that it really like there's I saw this girl, I'll put her link in the description box. She seems to be doing really well. Like a lot of people are following her. And I think that like there's this idea that like okay, so like if you find this YouTuber who has a quote or something like and somebody tells you basically what you need to hear at a particular time, sometimes that can be really helpful, but sometimes it won't. And the reason that that is the case is because like things are contextual. What I mean by that is like it's person, place, time, and thing. Like just because like let's just take an example. I saw a little Kevin Hart insert today where he was making a joke about like how his mom was robbed and she didn't have any money, so the robber just like threw her, she had like some food stamps or something, he threw a stamp or some laundry coin something, and he threw the laundry coins back at her and called her a broke bitch. And he was just laughing. He was like, "That's crazy, because my mom was a broke bitch, and she was actually broke. That's true. She didn't have no money. All she had was like laundry tokens, right?" For another person though, like and they could be rich or poor. Like somebody trying to rob them would cause them to murder the other person. Like his mom didn't do that. She took it as like a comedy sketch. But for other people, like a lot of like gun carrying people in most states would shoot whoever that was dead. Shoot them dead right there, and they would have a valid reason to do it, and in court they would walk away free. Because I mean, armed robbery is against the law, and people have a right to protect themselves. So, I mean, I don't know. Like understanding how to behave in society is a real fucking thing. I don't. That isn't a controversial take. Anyway, so this girl is giving all this advice. Oh, and I came from a toxic home or something, and she's like finding all these ways to like cope. What just be, I don't know what people are considering toxic homes. It's probably just poverty. Like most of these people, especially this is what I'm talking about. Like people from the developing world, like y'all come here poor. Like if your family had any sort of government assistance at all when you were growing up, you lived in public housing, you moved in with your family. If your family was not two people who went and bought a house and then they paid for the cost of the house and they paid for the food and all the shit with their own money, then you were poor. If they did pay for all the shit, they were middle class. That's what it means. Like if you were getting government assistance, which is probably what this girl is saying, like she grew up in some house that had like government assistance and she was poor. Um, People fight, adults fight, right, because they're poor. Like poverty really be starting fights. Okay. So I think when like Blueface is up here talking about all this stuff, like he's like hitting his woman, and I feel like even a lot of like really, it's a lot of black women who go through this just because they end up marrying poor men, and the poor men have to take out their anger in some kind of way. Like how are they going to take it out? They could take it out via alcohol, via sex, or violence. That's most of them don't have communication skills. This is why like education is important. If you don't have education, you don't have nothing to say. How are you going to have commentary about some shit that you haven't experienced? That's why most of these like red pillar retards on the internet don't make any fucking sense. Like they have half flawed logic, like Sneeko or whatever his name is. Like some of the arguments that I've heard are just like they're very naive and they're one sided and they are really harmful. Like some of them are built in like just racism, which is fine. Like I feel like there's so many kids who are just like him. They're like, I feel bad because like for Sneeko, maybe he has like a whole bunch of people who are gonna follow him. The problem is he's leading those people down the drain because like they're not a part of regular society. That's why you have internet trolls. Like he's saying all this shit to like people who aren't living the life that he's living. Like Sneeko isn't white, so whatever. What I don't know what he is, whatever he is, and it looks like from what I understand, he was like he grew up broke too. So he has like some internet funds. So the reality is, right? If you're watching Sneeko's channel and you are grew up maybe middle class, lower middle class, that's another thing too. That's like really weird. Like a lot of y'all do not understand what middle class means. Like it means you're on a fucking budget. Like you can't afford to fuck up. Like you're on a schedule. As soon as your parents are like one paycheck away from y'all being broke like all the people y'all ghettoize. Like you are one paycheck away from being in poverty and all the things that you are accustomed to that you like and love would be gone. And I feel like it's really sad because People are on here with the internet and all of these things, and they just really believe that like they are better, they're different. It's like, no, you're poor like everybody else. And then there's this other strange thing, and I don't know, maybe this is really a thing where there's like a poor girl to basketball wife pipeline that somebody's trying to build. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. It could be. I have no idea. Like I really don't understand. But what I do know is there's going to continue to be like a waspy society, and even like a probably like a black elite sort of society, which will just like there's so many customs that have gone into this. And even now you've got like the Puff Daddy and Beyonce, 50 Cent sort of like entertainer to alcohol brand owner mega pipeline. Like those pipelines are never gonna exist. They're trying to build like, how do you say it, railroad type money, and that lasts for quite a lot of generations. And I think that um I think it's really sad because there are just so few people who are integrated into mainstream society that they don't understand the like cultural norms and really like the legal system that is set in place in American society and how racialized it's been. So many people have been dealing with mistreatment and they don't know how to do anything about it. So the point that I'm making here is that in a lot of cases, like a lot of people who are rich, they'll just say like, I'll get my dad to fix it. I'll get my mom to fix it. They can like buy their way out of the problem, whatever the problem is. And well, that's true for the most part. They could pretty much do anything. Like many of them have like killed people, they've stolen things, they've committed all type of like really heinous crimes. And so many of us in the middle class have been very skeptical about that and really like angry about that because like we cannot behave that way because we are like lawful citizens. And when you get to a point where you've seen so many people display bad behavior and they're just being rewarded for it, they're just getting off with it. It's completely unfair and it makes the system rigged. And then people stop believing in the system, which is like what we have now. I feel like I saw a Logic video or a part of a Logic video today that I do think is kind of interesting. Maybe you should watch it. Maybe I'll watch it and have a response video to it. But yeah.